morning, everybody. It's really nice to see you all here on such a sad occasion. But Mark and I and the family would like to welcome you all and join us on our celebration of Barbara. We're going to be conducting a humanist ceremony. For those of you who don't know, this is basically a non-religious based ceremony which concentrates on Barbara, her life and her personality. I'm sure she would find this very amusing that we're here at such an ungodly hour. She was not a morning person, but as it normally goes, the more money you have, the later you can get up. So here we all are. I'm sure she would find it hysterical that Mark and I have even got here and on time as well. So, today's celebration will not be done in the usual manner. As I've explained, there's no vicar, there's no religious stuff, and no faffing about with hymns that nobody knows or can't sing even if they wanted to, because it's in the wrong key in the first place. So, if you think you might be offended by this, or the way that I conduct this ceremony in the way that Barbara would have liked, light-hearted and with a little bit of frivolity, you best leave now. Today is all about remembering the loveliness that was Barbara and reflecting on how lucky we all were to have her as part of our lives. When I think about words to describe Barbara, glamorous is the first one that comes to mind, followed by genuine, warm, sincere, childlike, and so funny, even more so when she was trying to be serious. She had a love of the absurd, the eccentric, and embraced the alternative in everyone. She loved anyone who shared her sense of fun and attitude to life. She never judged anyone, believing that we should all be treated equally, apart from politicians, who she could never understand, feeling that they were very narrow-minded and thought that they should spend a few days in the real world with real people trying to manage real problems before inflicting us with their self-obsessed drivel. I was 19 when I first met Barbara. I'd met Mark through a friend when we attended a weekly shindig at a Birmingham nightclub. Mark introduced me, saying, "Meet Sarah. I stole her off David. She's my friend now because I thought she looks like fun." Barbara was then forever known as my other mom, and my initial memories of her are, I'm sure, very similar to those that you all have of her. Such a beautiful lady with an infectious laugh, radiating such warmth and such love. I was soon introduced to her mum and dad, Gladys and Les, and they had a wonderful 1930s home in Claregate, Tettenhall. We spent many a family afternoon there all together, with Gladys totally convinced that Mark and I would get married someday and have the most beautiful children together. If only she knew. Barbara was an only child and often said how lonely she'd felt at times, which is, I'm sure, the reason why that in her adult life she chose to surround herself with others that she could share the good times with. She attended the technical high school and enjoyed all the things that teenagers did. Not excelling academically, but enjoying all the local dances, days out, and general fun with her best friend Valerie Prosser. She left at 16 and went straight to work at Courtaulds factory in 1953. Here she became part of another work family. She was part of the factory that manufactured rayon and silk fabrics. Apparently Barbara loved this job. She said it was an absolute ball. It gave her financial independence as well as a clipboard and a white coat. She spent her money on her holidays, going regularly to Blackpool and even going to France along with her pal Val. Quite a shocking thing to do for two 18-year-old girls at that time. But Barbara was always ahead of her time. She was forward-thinking, free-spirited, and she had an attitude to life that most envied, and I know she cherished. Her job in the factory was to collate information. data and figures, etc. All totally bona fide, as Barbara put it, and very official. However, Barbara saw it as a perfect opportunity to socialise and have a laugh whilst getting paid. She was there for 6 years, perfecting the art of skiving, before they finally twigged on and she was asked to leave. In those days, it was far easier to walk out of one job and into another. With a bubbly personality and exotic Spanish looks, it was impossible not to fall for her wonderful personality. She was hired to be a secretary. However, it soon became apparent she was no good at organising, typing, taking calls, or remembering to pass on important messages. The only filing she could do was her nails. So again, she was asked to leave. Barbara then got a job in a typing pool, figuring with lots of other girls taking up her slack, she could probably get away with it. The use of corrective fluid went up tenfold and she was found out. Travelling to work on the bus one day in the terrible winter of '63, she met one of her colleagues who said, "What are you doing?" She said, "I'm going to work." To which she was told, "Oh, don't you know, they don't want you there anymore." So Barbs gets off the bus, catches another one to go home. During this time, in 1958 to be precise, Barbara had met Linford and they got married in 1959. Tracy, her daughter, was born in 1963. Sadly, Tracy hasn't been able to attend today. This is due to her not being here. But we are very pleased to have her son here, Andrew, to represent the family. Our lovely Mark was born in 1965, and Barbara believed her family was complete. But in 1967, have I got that right? Yeah. They had a lovely surprise that was Carl, and they were a tribe of 5. Sadly, there were problems within that marriage, and it saw Barbara split from Linford in 1972. We've now put together a short video, a condensed short "This Is Your Life" snippets, and it's backed by a musical version of Sweet Little Headache, and also one of Barbara's favourite songs that has been sung by Mark, called "Please Love Me Forever."
Listen to my plea. Please don't stop loving me. You're in my dreams nightly. Don't take my love lightly. Begging on bended knee. Don't stop loving me. mistake. Oh, I'll love you forever. Don't forget me ever. Our love was meant to be. Please don't stop loving me. I'll love you forever. Don't forget me ever. Our love was meant to be. Please don't stop loving me.
As you wave me goodbye, with a cheer, not a tear, make it gay. Give me a smile I can keep all the while in my heart while I'm away. Till we meet once again, you and I. Wish me luck as you wave me goodbye.
I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to invite a very dear friend of Barbara's, Dot, up to the podium, and she's going to read a few words in memory of Barbara. They're printed in your, what do you call these, doodahs, thingies?
Order of service.
Order of services, yes. Thingamybobs, as Barbara would have called them. So if you'd like to come join us.
This is a verse of comfort by myself. I think it's very fitting for everyone. It's called Verse of Comfort. I'm emotionally upset, as you know. Dear friend Barbara, peacefully sleep comes to a dear beloved heart. Quietly we understand the time has come to part. Tenderly the love shines on a never-ending light. Gratefully we feel its warmth and say, sweet dreams, good night, Barbara. Good night.
Barbara had heard about this new town called Telford, and ever the one to go on an adventure, she moved here after splitting with Linford. She became involved with a lovely man called Morris, and they married in 1973. By his own admission, Mark says he was a real bugger towards Morris, but Morris took on all 3 children and was an amazing dad to all of them. And he made Barbara happy again. Mark remembers very well how all the kids wanted for nothing, each of them having their own bikes, TVs and sound systems. Many happy holidays were spent camping or in a family caravan at the coast in Harlech. By no means rich financially, but very happy, settling in Woodside together in a 5-level pent-roof house. The layout of the house meant Mark's room on the top floor was referred to as the penthouse. It was like living in a loft with a lilo and a slow cooker. I remember how Barbara used to call us down to dinner. She used to rattle a wooden spoon down the back of the kitchen radiator. Whilst at Woodside, Barbara got a job as a dinner lady, which she loved. She was always good at practical things, and even said herself that she was no good at the clever stuff, but give her manual hands-on work and she would work till she dropped. She then went to Aqueduct Primary, where she was solely responsible for running the kitchen and serving meals to the children, who of course all adored her. From thereafter, cuts were made to the workforce across the board, so she went to work for Marks and Spencer's, and she stayed here until her retirement. In 2011, Barbara embarked on another chapter. Sadly, her marriage to Morris broke down after 38 years, and she ended up embracing the single life in Dorley. Once the dust had settled, there was no animosity held by Barbara towards Morris, and Vicky Verkey. Sorry, vice versa. She said Vicky Verkey. She was always very positive about her situation. In Dawley, Barbara was very much a part of supporting Mark and I in setting up String of Pearls, a singing act where we perform vintage vocals, songs from yesteryear. Always accompanying us on gigs, she was a joy to be with. And whilst her health allowed, she became our official photographer. She purchased a Canon camera and loved to video our shows, the results of which Mark has edited and put on YouTube. Barbara's grandfather was always a keen photographer, and Mark has continued the family tradition by cataloguing life events and making home movies himself from a very early age. Barbara loved being a part of our shows and was very proud, especially of Mark. But she could never understand why we weren't internationally famous and unbelievably rich. She loved watching X Factor and The Voice, all these type of shows, but she couldn't understand why people thought that shouting had anything to do with singing, or why they could get away with mumbling all the words. Another simple pleasure of hers was shopping, for clothes and for shoes, every day up to the town centre, on the hunt for the next bargain. The challenge to shop on a shoestring, and by her own admission, she had way too much. The 3 bedrooms she had were used to store them all. She used to make Mark and I laugh by saying she really loved Christmas, but there were too many people around, and she thought that Christmas should be in June when the shops were much quieter. A very humble lady who never expected much from life. She got wise as she got older, and after a long discussion with Mark, who filled her in on what men are really like, she announced that in her next life she was coming back as a leprechaun, lesbian, because then there wouldn't be any of that mither of physical fulfilment that blokes pestered you for. I will remember a vivid image that I have of Barbara at a Marks and Spencer's Christmas party. I wasn't there, but her description of it is so vivid, I will always feel that I was. Well, she says, it was an absolute free-for-all, free booze all night. And I don't know what they put in it, but apparently I ended up being sick in the water jug. We leave you now with a compilation film celebrating the beautiful soul that was Barbara. During her later years and her failing health, she often said that she had everything that was going, and what she hadn't got, she'd been promised. She preferred to be behind the camera. This compilation brings together her brief appearances in front of the camera. We hope you enjoy it. This is for you, Barbara. Good night, darling. We're glad you're out of pain. See you again someday. We'd like to thank you all for coming today. Any donations you feel you want to leave will go to Barbara's favourite dog charity, where Jake, her beloved staffy, found Barbara and gave her so much comfort in the last 2 years. Please feel free to join us at the wake. The address is on the back of the service sheets, where we can share convivial chatter and, as Barbara would say, nice cup of tea and a slice of cake, and possibly a sponge finger. Just a quick thanks to Barbara's dear friends Brenda and Carolyn, who have put on the spread and provided the room for us. Thank you once again for being with us all today, and I'm so glad that we had Barbara as part of our lives. Thank you.
Such a feeling's coming over me. There's wonder in most everything I see. Not a cloud in the sky, got the sun in my eye, and I won't be surprised if it's a dream. Everything I want the world to be is not coming true, especially for me. And the reason is clear, it's because you are here. You're the nearest thing.
There was a young lady from Twickenham whose shoes were too tight to walk quick enough. She returned from a walk of the vitamin shore and took a